Hi there, it's Carrie Rhoades with CarrieStamps.com, your Fun Stampers Journey Coach. Today in my video, I'm going to be showing you how to make custom colored glaze for use in your paper crafting projects. I'm going to start with Journey Glaze. This is a water-based resin enamel adhesive-like product, and it dries crystal clear and won't smudge your ink. It's fabulous. I love it. So when I dye it, I can use it on fun projects like this peanut butter and jelly card. Look at the glaze on those pieces of bread. Isn't it cute? All right, so I'm going to show you how to make the glaze and the card. Let's get stamping. Okay, so let me show you how to make peanut butter and jelly. We're going to start with my favorite product, Journey Glaze. I use this all the time. I like to keep a little pin handy to clear any clogs that might form in the tip there. And then I'm going to take a little storage container. I got these at the dollar store. They're at the Dollar Tree. They have different sizes. These are the smaller version. Aren't they great? With the little lids so that you can keep your Journey Glaze in there and it will not dry out. So let's start with peanut butter. That I'm reusing this container, and because it has a lid, it's very easy to keep this and use it again later. So I don't have exact measurements for this. I just squeezed in some. And then to color it for peanut butter, I'm using pumpkin bread. True Color Fusion ink. You do want to shake these up before you use them, and then you're going to just take this and put a drop in at a time. This is a hybrid ink, so it's a mix between dye and pigment ink, so you can get a really concentrated look. So I like to add it one drop at a time until I get the color and the consistency that I want. And what you can do is have a little scrap piece of paper that you can test it on, just really tiny, and kind of see, is that the color I want? Maybe not yet. So I'm going to go ahead and add one more drop and just think about peanut butter. And then you're going to stir this until it gets really mixed in, which can take a little bit longer than you might think. The other thing I noticed, if you get too much ink in here, you're going to get, your Journey Glaze is going to stay sticky. So you see the darker color there? I like that. That's what I want. So if you want a really dark concentrated color, I would use less Journey Glaze and one drop. And then if you need to make more, you can make more instead of trying to put lots of drops to color a lot of Journey Glaze. Make a small batch. Okay, for the jelly, I'm using the smaller container, which I kind of like because you don't need to make too much of this. So in goes some more Journey Glaze, and this time I'm going to use Lavender Fusion. I really had to play with the color choice for the jelly. I thought Grape Fusion was going to be the right color. I put a few extra drops in there only because I've already played with this and I kind of know how much to put in. So I already knew I wanted 2 drops, and I squeezed kind of hard and 3 drops went in. So I'm going to see what I get. And then I can always add more Journey Glaze. But like I said, this is just like a fun little experiment. And oh yeah, I think that's really good. It'll be fine. Okay, so you just play with it until you get the look that you want. Make sure you stir them up really well. All right, so we're going to set those aside, and I'm just being careful to keep the lids on so that they don't dry out. And we're going to use those in just a second, but we need to make our bread. I'm stamping my piece of bread from the Sunday morning stamp set. Isn't this a cute stamp set? I love all the breakfast foods. I'm going to stamp it onto a piece of buttercream cardstock with dark roast ink. And we need 2 pieces. Lovely. Look at that dark brown. And then I wanted to give this card little faces. My original card, they did not have faces, but I really thought it would be cute. So the face is going on with black licorice. Let me hold this up to the camera so you can see there's a little bit of color difference between the black licorice and the dark roast. Just a little. I love that dark, dark brown. Okay, I wanted my bread to look a little bit browned on the edges, so I'm going to bring in my color burst pencils and add a little bit of color. The pencil I'm going to use is number 39. These are my favorite colored pencils. Such rich colors. And I just want a little bit of color. So I'm going to use a really light hand and color in a circular motion and put down a really light layer just around the edge of the bread. Now that we have them colored, I'm going to bring in my blending tool and burnish that color into the paper. And it's just going to soften up my pencil lines and blend that color out. It's just a piece of rolled up paper, but it really helps to soften the look. This is also great if you wanted to blend different colors of your colored pencil to make a new color. Then you would use this blending tool to blend them together. Aren't they cute with their little faces? I love it. So now our bread is coming to life a little bit with some shading, and it gives it a little bit of depth and character to it. All right, so now we're gonna die cut these pieces of bread. I've brought in my platinum die cutting machine. I've got the matching die for my piece of bread, and I'm going to line that up, and the magnet in my plate is going to hold it down for me, and I can run that right through. Okay, now we have our two pieces of bread. We're going to peanut butter and jelly them. So I was mixing my Journey Glaze, my peanut butter, with a toothpick, and I'm going to use that to also apply the peanut butter on. I'm not going to spread it around too much. I'm just kind of putting a drop and spreading the drop out from the center. All right, we have our two pieces of bread done. I'm going to go ahead and set these aside to dry, and we'll make the other parts of our card. For the first part of my background, I'm going to stamp the Flannel Life background stamp onto a piece of pretty amethyst, and I'm going to be using Lavender Fusion ink. I like to ink my background stamps in reverse. It's so big it would be really hard to try and take the stamp to the stamp pad. So this method works best for when you're inking large stamps. I also then like to take the paper to the stamp, and I just hold with one hand and press with the other. If you're worried about getting ink on your fingers, you could put a scratch piece of paper down over that. Isn't that gorgeous? Love that background. All right, we will set that stamp aside, all done with that. I'm going to mount this so it has a border of the Lavender Fusion behind it. And you can see I cut out the middle because most of the middle is going to be covered, and I could use that cardstock for something else. And I just did that with the second to the largest rectangle from the Journey Rectangles die set. Then I'm going to adhere this with some craft glue. I just need to remember that I only need glue on the edges and not in the middle. And then we've got a very small or thin layer of the Lavender Fusion around the edge. You can see that it's about 1/8 of an inch border. Okay. Then we're going to add our sentiment. Our sentiment says, "You are the peanut butter to my jelly." Isn't it cute? So I just printed this out on my computer. You could do the same if you would like this exact one. I will have a printable version of it on my blog for you. There's a link in the description below. So now I'm just going to center this on my card. I think it needs to go this way here. Let's see. Okay, then when we have it where we want it, all we need to do is trim off the ends. I do that from the back so I can cut it flush with my paper. There we have it. Then we'll mount this to our card base, which is also the same color of cardstock that I printed this out on. It's called Oatmeal Cookie. Just making sure it's straight. And I've cut it to 5.5 by 8.5, and then I'm going to fold this in half. And to give my fold a nice crisp crease, I'm going to use my crease tool to burnish that, and then my card stays closed nicely. I do like to have a lot of layers popped on my cards, so I'm going to bring in some of my favorite adhesive, Journey foam squares. And for this card, I'm going to use 6 of them, like that. And then this will give our card some dimension, a nice little shadow behind the layers, and I just love having that dimension on my cards. Usually my cards have 2 layers that are popped up. Make sure you've got an even border all the way around, and then stick it down. All right, we are going to have a little heart on the front of our card. It's from the pumpkin bread paper, and I'm going to use my heart punch here. It has 3 different sizes. I just want this smallest one, so I'm going to stick the corner in and just punch that heart right there. And that will be a cute accent on my card. Oh, I got a little bit of a flat spot. Let me try that again. I got really close to the edge when I punched it. There we go. I can't have a heart with a flat spot on my card. Okay, so this will get put on with a foam square as well. So now I'm using my small foam squares and sticking that to the card in a minute when we get all of our pieces together. I have some pieces of bread that I already did. They're not quite dry, but much drier than the ones we just did. I would give these really a few hours to dry. We did a pretty big layer, and then we're going to stick these on with foam squares to our card. Another way you could do this so you don't have to worry about them being wet is to stick the bread down and put the peanut butter and jelly on them once they're stuck to the card. So that's a good way to do it. I'm just going to lay these down here for now so you can see where they go, and then I'll stick them on later when they're all the way dry so I don't mess anything up, right? Okay, so it needed a little bit of an accent, and I thought of 2 different ways I could dress this card up. And the first one is with our rainbow drops. I love these rainbow drops by Fun Stampers Journey. They are beautiful. Look at this great case that divides them by color and by shape, and then it has 768 pieces, which, you know, we like to hoard our embellishments, but with this many you don't have to. So I have the purple rainbow drops. I've stuck them onto foam squares, or I'm sorry, onto glue dots, so I could easily peel them off for this video and stick them down. And one more, the littlest one. So I used all 3 sizes. And there we have our card. So we have this one with the cute little faces. Isn't that fun? I like the faces. This one without the faces. And the second thing that I did to add some accent to my card was to put Journey Glaze right over the top of the heart that goes in between them. And that is not colored. I just put the Journey Glaze direct from the bottle onto the heart itself. So I can pick this heart up because it's not stuck down and just put the Journey Glaze right on there. This is another way you can use your Journey Glaze. Just direct from the bottle. And that's going to dry and make a really pretty accent for this card. Next, I wanted to show you another way I used that pumpkin bread Journey Glaze was on this cute little waffle. I've used it here as syrup. Isn't that cute? All right, let's take another look at our card sample. I hope that you will give Journey Glaze mixed with our True Color Fusion ink a try and glaze up some things to give them some extra character. Thanks for watching and happy stamping. Bye-bye.